Welcome to Energy Careers, a segment of the Energy Conversations podcast dedicated to exploring opportunities in the dynamic world of the energy sector. For 13 years, I've had the privilege of navigating this sector, and it has significantly shaped my professional and entrepreneurial journey. Join me as we uncover exciting pathways for those interested in making their mark in this exciting sector. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Energy Careers, where we explore the inspiring energy journeys of industry leaders as they share insights and opportunities for young people looking to dive into the dynamic world of the South African energy sector. Today, we will be exploring the energy journeys of Noluthando Yeni, Vutomi, Mundalamo, Ugeshree, Thakurpersad, Zinhle Kunene, and Devaksha Maharaj. Vutomi, if I can start with you, please could you briefly share about your energy journey? How did you get involved in the energy sector? What did you study? And what has been your career path up until this point?
Thank you very much, Thokozile. So I studied geology in university up until honors level. And then when I completed my studies, my dream was really to work in the exploration space or in the mining sector. However, I've completed my studies at a time where the mining sector was going through a dip, so opportunities were not really prevalent. So I luckily had applied for an internship with the National Research Foundation, who was incentivizing private sector to hire graduates like myself. And through that program, I was hired by an IPP called an independent power producer in full called Sky Power, where I completed my internship. And that led me to then my next role at ACWA Power. And my career evolved within the energy sector in that I worked for a developer. I also worked for a wind turbine manufacturer for part of my career. And then thereafter, I really was feeling very hungry to grow as a young person. So I then pursued an MBA while working for a wind turbine manufacturer and realized from there that I really was passionate about the finance side of things as well as working for a developer. So I went back to the IPP space, and that is currently where I am. And that's how my career has evolved, essentially.
Thank you very much. Noluthando, what has been your energy journey? How did you get involved in this space? What did you study?
So I actually studied a BSc in Applied Mathematics and Computer Science at Wits. Had no intention of being in finance, let alone the energy space. I always kind of imagined myself being, I don't know, a quant or just a data modeler of some sort. I can't even remember properly what that was like. I went through a recruitment process in an investment bank for their graduate program. And during that process, I remembered very clearly that I wanted to get into the e-trading space and be a quant there. But as the process unfolded, quite a few of them felt that I would really enjoy the investment banking space. Particularly because I was very active in debating, I was very active in social issues at university, and they really could see me through the graduate program where you're going to be skilled and handheld, grow and be less frustrated in the investment banking space. Specifically, project finance was swung, but then the world was my oyster in terms of that offer. So I'm very glad that those recruiters really could identify the kind of match of personality and skills to career. Because when you come out of varsity, at least when I didn't even understand what the options were, other than what you've studied for. I spent 5 years in the investment banking space. Got the skills like, understanding just basic accounting, financing, and then really getting into the meat of understanding the legal aspects and the structuring aspects when it comes to infrastructure projects. From there, I kind of decided that I really care about making an impact. And I wanted to get closer to the projects. And so I joined the asset management space, specifically joined an asset manager that was managing a DFI fund, where as part of project financing, a big part of what your focus is really just looking at what the impact is of your funding in those projects and really doing the analysis of what are some of the key indicators that we could use at a grassroots level to ensure that our funding achieves the objectives that it set itself out to achieve. And there I got to do a lot of projects in the continent and in very remote jurisdictions that funders usually don't touch. I think you get to see like the smallest of projects where the impact of it is so high on a national level, and really can see how it starts multiplying and growing a sector. One of my key passions there was really just also upskilling my core project financing skills, so financial modeling. So a lot of my skill sets in terms of how I do my job on a day-to-day has been led by being on the job and identifying the gap in my own skill sets, and really just mapping or designing my learning and skills development around that. So the skills that I use every day today has nothing to do with what I studied. And I think that's a very important thing that I can encourage people who really look to enter into uncharted terrains when it comes to their career journey. From the DFI space, I really did want to get closer to projects because I did think that, you know what, you almost see it from the receiving end and really from, you know, third hands of data and information when you're sitting on the financing side. And a big angle for me to get into really either an IPP or a private equity firm was the fact that I've got these project finance skills, I've got lending experience, extensive negotiation and structuring experience that I accumulated over the years. And here I am wanting to, again, learn and develop more skills. So like really understand what goes into the design from a technical perspective, how you unpack and mitigate those risks, but also specifically, how is it that we, from an ongoing kind of like project monitoring perspective, we ensure that we meet the objectives that we had set ourselves out to meet. And so that's how I got into this wonderful opportunity, being part of an independent power producer that is still heavily focused on South Africa and really is looking at private power deals and looking at how we can mirror again the national objective in how we've seen mirror the REAP program and the objectives it's set out to reach, even in a private power deal where those regulatory requirements are necessarily placed within projects. And again, for me, that speaks to entrenching the philosophy and the principles of what is good business and really how you can foster a sector. But again, developing your skill set as you go. So I've done quite a few short courses, quite a few energy courses, quite a few impact courses, impact fund courses, ED and SED focused courses, short courses and internal courses, and conversations like these, just to broaden your scope of knowledge and understanding so that you don't think in silos in what you do. So I studied what I studied, but my career path has really just been one about creating my own curriculum, and I still continue to do that.
Love that. Zinhle, what has been your energy journey? What did you study and what has been your career path up until now?
Yeah, I studied environmental science, geography and environmental sciences degree at Wits as an undergrad, and then I continued my honors at the University of Johannesburg majoring in geography and environmental sciences as well. So I thought what I wanted to do was to be an environmental impact practitioner. And I didn't even think that I was going to end up in the energy space. But when I found the opportunity through UJ about being an intern of project development through Enertrack South Africa, so that's when my renewable energy journey started. So there I was working closely with project developers, and I think that's where the whole love for project development started, and just seeing the importance of developing renewable energy projects in South Africa, where I worked in developing both solar and wind projects. And then after the internship ended, I moved to Meadows Energy, the subsidiary of Vigor Energy, as a junior project developer, where I was now applying the things that I learned as an intern and also upskilling myself in terms of all the needs that a project developer has to have. After that, I moved to where I am now at Yeni Energy as a project development analyst, where I am exposed to different departments. I think it's important not to be role concentrated, but even when in your current role, role that you're in, just make sure that you absorb and you learn other things from the other departments, because they are correlated and we co-function in order to make and build the renewable energy projects. So I think where I'm at now is at a phase where I am learning everything that I can and finding myself, and then just looking at where am I lacking, where can I improve. And then I think what Vutomi said was you need to have a 3-year plan, and then I have that now, and I'm just looking into where exactly is my passion in renewable energy, but project development has my heart. I think the next time I'll appear on the podcast, I'll be head of renewable energy projects somewhere. But I think that's where I'm at in my career now. So it's very important not to be role-based, but to learn and upskill yourself in everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zinhle. I am here for head of project development, and we will see it. We will see it. We will definitely see it. You'll come back to this episode. In fact, we will all tag you and remind you of these words the day we see that LinkedIn announcement, and all the best with that journey. Ugesh, what has been your energy journey? What did you study? How did you get involved in the sector? And what has been your career path up until this point?
Sure, thank you. I think I'm a ray of light when it comes to those listeners and viewers that do not know what they want to study. Because I knew everything I didn't want to do at the time. It was, after school that I needed to enroll at university. And I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I chose a course that offered various subjects, and it was actually environmental health. And I thought, okay, I'll get exposed to lots of different subjects, including maths, and it was food and meat hygiene, occupational health and safety, so quite broad. And I thought, okay, I'll figure it along the way. And I didn't. My first job opportunity, I was very fortunate to start at ACWA. So it was a large corporate, and I worked there for 12 years. And then, I got into a position, quite a junior position, but I was working as a researcher, researching social political science, which is also one of my subjects, and supporting the business development team. And by being exposed to the business development team in terms of different countries that they were looking at investing in, so we had to do social political analysis of those countries, and also business intelligence, informing the senior executives in terms of how to do networking when you're attending conferences, and business intelligence for those of you that understand that concept. And that's when I realized, this is me. Business development. I can't specialize in anything. I need to do multiple things. That's what excites me. And then I went on to study through UNISA. I did a degree in information science and marketing, also to help develop my career, because I thought it was important for me. I knew now I want to get into business development, but I also realized I need to get operational experience. You need to understand, it was a largely coal mining company at that stage. So I need to understand what is coal mining, and then I got promoted to a position in marketing. And I got commercial experience, which was really great. So I got ticked off operational, I ticked off different levels of business acumen, and now I had commercial experience as well. So Exaro or ISCO went through various changes, and was eventually, when the new BE laws were promulgated, became Exaro Resources. And Exaro decided strategically and operationally to invest in renewable energy. I was then promoted to head the wind development for the country. And as you know, back then in 2009, it was very, very new. So it is a huge learning opportunity for me, very exciting, and lots of challenges as well to, just to know, where do you start? What do you do? There's no wind farms in this country. There's no even wind atlas for the country to know really where's the wind good spots, and similarly for solar as well. So it's very interesting times. And as I got exposed to it at the time that the whole IPP process came into play, and the economic development requirements for those tenders that were part of the window one, that's when I got exposed to economic development, and I became specialized in economic development, so to speak. And I think for me, a very significant time in my life was when I traveled to the Eastern Cape. We started developing 2 wind farms in the Eastern Cape. And that's when I got to see how beautiful the country is outside of, where I grew up and the places that I knew. And that's when I got to really see what opportunities the renewable energy projects bring to rural communities. So it ignited the passion for me in terms of transformation, which is what is core to who I am. It also gave me an opportunity to realize that there is an opportunity to start a business in renewable energy, and I was always an entrepreneur at heart. And that's when I started consulting in economic development back in 2012. So after we won those projects, I saw a magnificent opportunity to start consulting in economic development. And as mentioned, it was really through those travels into Tsitsikamma, into the Eastern Cape, that I saw and recognized the opportunities to transform rural communities and the opportunities that the RE sector brings across different levels and to all people that are business-minded or want to have a successful career within the industry. Until then, I'm still consulting, loving the industry, and grateful for all the changes as well, because as soon as the point you think you know it all, or you've reached a stagnation, then something new happens. And for example, now we've got the battery tenders, so it's new technology, something different to learn about. So I really welcome all those changes that are happening as well, which keeps it excitable and makes sure that we all stay on our toes and contribute towards the growing sector as well.
Thank you very much for that. Devaksha, what has been your energy journey?
So I started electrical engineering at the University of Natal, now the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and even that too was a chance. My parents didn't have funding. They said, apply for bursaries, and the first one that you get, you're just going to do it. I had no idea what electrical engineering was, and I took it because it was a bursary. But I think by the end of my first year, and I participated in all the ACWA programs and got posted to around the distribution space of Eskom, I started to realize what I had gotten myself into, and at some stage started enjoying it. So even at that stage, I just fell into the space quite by accident. But with Eskom, I then moved over to generation, and I got posted to Ermelo at Camden Power Station, which was a shock to my background, coming from a very sheltered environment. And I was in generation for about a year and a half, and then moved over to Simanco Chrome. I worked at the smelters for 7 years. And what was considered for me every day that was torturous is now the best experience I've ever had in those two main companies. It brought with me, after leaving Simanco, a PR range, which I am very proud to have had now for 12 years. And the experience that I gained and that thirst for knowledge that I had once I figured out where I was going had me, participating in a number of environments. I then started to look at the energy space, and back then ISO 50001 was coming in quite heavily into South Africa. And there's a number of bodies that actually run energy programs. So I got involved with the Association of Energy Engineers, and I hold currently 3 certifications on the second cycle with them. They're based in Atlanta in America. And I think that's what actually gave me the strength to actually then get into my own space. But prior to that, I then moved into the consulting space. So from hard smelter experience into consulting, which is now the other side of the coin. I worked at PowerTech, which was at that stage IST Autocon, for another 5 to 6 years, and then obviously went down my retrenchment path there. Then worked for a number of other freelance consultancies, worked for a company that wasn't even involved in the energy space, but brought energy to them. They were involved in data centers and never realized at that stage that data centers are the most energy intensive areas. So I got there and started to show them, like, we need to start considering these things and taking it to spaces where they didn't even look at. It was an international company. And then, so along that path, picked up the certifications in energy, picked up the experience in the energy space, not specifically renewable or solar. That came on to me when I started consulting. And the first thing we started doing in the business was solar water heaters for residential sector. And then started to understand the space and renewables, and then started to grow the business in installations in the residential sector. moving into the hybrid and battery backup solutions as the load shedding started to pick up. So along that path, I then started to now pick up my knowledge and bring in team members who would then support me as we started to grow that business in that space. I've got 2 design engineers that now do design packs for commercial space, and I do the sign-offs as the PR eng. So it was a very learning pathway to the business, and whatever didn't work once, we worked in another way. We couldn't get into the commercial space. Black woman owned small business, trying to get into the commercial space is very difficult. So we went into the design packs. We designed full EPC packs for the clients, and given that to them, they can go and then do their procurement and installation. And that worked well. Because of the skills that I had, I was able to sign off on these applications from a utility perspective as well. So for me, it was a journey of learning, which is not ending, because there's constant change in the space. And if I don't keep my team or keep myself abreast, I feel like I was away in the US for a week. I came back and it feels like I left for like a year. So it's constant, and there's no right path in which way you must go. I mean, we all are now saying to each other here that we fell into the space. I said I fell into engineering from a university perspective. So it's a path that you choose, and once you choose it, it's how you commit yourself to it. So that's been my journey thus far.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. Really some inspiring journeys. And obviously key insights and key learnings have been learned by all of you in this journey. So if you had an opportunity and you're looking at younger you 10 years, 15 years ago, what is the one piece of advice that you would give her based on these learnings that you've had in your energy journey? But Vutomi, if I can start with you, what would be that one piece of advice that you would want to tell younger you?
Chish, you're only giving me one, Thokozile, but let me think of the one. I'd say for my younger self, let me put it like 2 into 1, would be that essentially sometimes what you study does not determine where you'll wind up in the future. I studied geology. I thought I'd be an exploration geologist, somebody important within that space, but I'm in the renewable energy space. I came in when it was still very early on in its infancy. I'm here in South Africa and growing with it and seeing that there are a lot of opportunities within this space. So your plan A will not always be where you wind up. And I think that's the one big advice. Let me keep it there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Noluthando, what would be your one piece of advice for younger you?
It definitely would be speak up and speak louder sooner. I think I took too long to occupy space in my career, and I wish I'd done it sooner, because it is a very welcoming space when you do occupy it.
Thank you for that. I am taking it as current day self to speak up sooner. Zinhle, what would be your one piece of advice?
Yeah, I think for me, it would be more of an affirmation than an advice, just to look at myself and tell myself that you are amazing and you are doing it, because I am amazing and I'm doing it.
I love that. Future head of project development. Ugesh, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
That God's plan for me is bigger and better than anything that I could have ever imagined.
Thank you for that. Wow. I feel like you are all responding to the advice that I currently need in my life. Thank you. Devaksha, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
I think it would be is whatever comes my path professionally, I would need to stop trying to put things personally behind. Like I've had mentees ask me, when is the right time to get married? I said to them, whenever you're ready. Don't make your career come in the way of that. So we stalled having the second child because of my career. And I think that's one of my biggest things, and now I'm at a stage where it's not going to happen. And I think things happen in parallel, and you guessed it. God plans things in ways. I never thought I'll be an entrepreneur. I learned to be an entrepreneur. So don't stop your personal life. That goes on. We moms, I've had experience of being retrenched during maternity leave. It didn't stop me from being who I am. And I never ever go into a meeting and not say, listen, I'm a mom, I've got commitments. If you are my clientele, you'll understand. You have wives, you are moms yourself. So I've walked away from clients who can't accept that I have commitments as a mom or as a wife. And I've embraced clients who actually understand that. So don't stop your personal life. It's always going to be there. When do you start living? If that's what's going to happen. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
Sage advice, sage advice. Again, I keep saying, you guys have, the advice that I need right now. And I think it's such a key point that you're mentioning, because at no point in a man's career does he ever need to stop and say, no, I need to first make partner, first do this, first make this much money before I can get married or have a child. Like it's part and parcel. I mean, it's concerning that we speak of a career woman. It's a career. Like men have it too, and I think it is really, really very important advice, and I echo everything that you've all the advice that our guests have shared, but I think this one in particular, because I think they say we can't have it all, but you decide. Yes, obviously it will require a balance, and no, you're not going to be jack of all trade, and there's going to be moments where you're a great career woman and maybe you're just not the greatest mom in that moment. Balance is a dream, but the reality is there's no need to wait. There's absolutely no need to wait. And I think, again, let's continue to know to affirm ourselves. I love how Zinhle has said it, that it's not I don't need the advice, I just need to remind myself that I am that person. And I think really just wonderful insight shared. I could go on and on and on, but I think this brings us to this yet another installment of the Energy Careers podcast. And I think this one really, it touched some key notes and some key important points that are really food for thought beyond this episode. And I'd love to thank our guests for joining us, for sharing. And join us next time as we explore more journeys on Energy Careers, a segment of the Energy Conversations podcast. Thank you for tuning into Energy Careers, where we explore the endless possibilities in the energy sector. Don't miss out on future episodes where we'll feature more inspiring journeys and insights on how to embark on your own energy career path. Subscribe now to the Energy Conversations podcast and unlock the door to exciting opportunities in the dynamic world of energy. Your journey begins here.